There we go. Officially live.
Hey.
Only 6 minutes late, and I do take full responsibility. I was doing something that and completely lost track of time. So, how are you, Becca?
Not too bad at the moment. Bit cold, but there we go. I just got in and it's raining. I was just like, no.
Of course, you all arrive when I am using the bathroom. I was there and I was like, oh, good. I'm really glad. I've been here for 15 minutes. And when I go, oh, I'm just going to pee because they're going to be a little while. Nope.
No, of course not. No, do you know what was really funny? I was sitting there thinking, either Lizzie's gone to get themselves a tea or they've gone to pee. But whatever it is, it will have been 2 seconds before I came online.
Yep.
It's always the way, though, isn't it?
Standard. And like I said, it is 100% my fault that we're late. I got distracted. Apparently, I have the mental capacity of a gnat, and I do easily get distracted. So I'm just going to tell everyone that we are live. But how are you in general, Lizzie?
I'm fine, but is that a giant coffee? Because I will.
No, it's a hot chocolate, but it's in my reusable Starbucks mug.
Okay, but it isn't actually. Okay, cool. I'm no longer that jealous. I could go outside and make hot chocolate, but I'm lazy.
I just like it. I just like it as a little thing.
No, I'm good. I'm glad I finished the book.
Oh, same. Wasn't entirely sure I was going to.
Am I the only one who reads it like the day after the live stream?
I can't be trusted because if I do that, I won't remember anything. Even if I've made notes, I'll have to go back through everything. And to be honest, I'll be honest, this week I've read nothing. I've read really, really short books that I don't care about just to get my Goodreads goal, get closer to that. I'm now on 207 books or something like that. So only 93 to go. But the week before that, I was just working my way through my Audible audiobooks. And obviously I didn't have it as an audiobook. And then it was only the other day when we were just checking what time it is. And I was like, shit, I'm 90 pages into that and I haven't picked it up since. So that was why there was cramming today.
Well, I started it on last Sunday. And then I just didn't read it. And I was listening to June on audiobook. And I finished that yesterday. And then I was like, oh, I should probably pick up Skullduggery again. Yeah. I was wanting to read it. And then I just got a bit not wanting to and wanting to pick other books up. And it got to the point where today I was like, well, I'm going to finish it, talk about it, and then I can pick up another book.
See, my issue was I didn't care about it for the first 100 pages, which is so not like me. And what's also not like me is obviously I usually start our discussion with what we rated it. I haven't rated it yet because I don't know how I feel about it. So I'm hoping by chatting to you about it today, I'll be able to clarify in my brain what I think it is. Because I just don't know how I feel about it. So we're going to go straight into spoiler discussion territory. And let's start with the kind of introduction of characters at the start. So obviously Valkyrie is back from her 5-year stint abroad and she's broken. She is not well. How did we feel about the mental health rep in this book?
I'm glad it's there because so many books, they just sort of skim over that and they're like, oh yeah, they're fine. But this, we actually saw the profound effect Darkest and everything else had on her. And I'm glad we got that. And how she's trying to adjust to being back in Rawhaven and with Skullduggery and everything else, and how she's affected by everybody else and how they're looking at her and things like that. I'm really glad that we had that. And it wasn't just like, oh yeah, it's been 5 years, everyone's forgotten. And she's been forgiven by everyone. That was nice.
I feel like Lizzie could not disagree more. Look at Lizzie's face. Lizzie the entire time was like, uh-huh.
I liked that she wasn't okay. I did like that. I did like that it wasn't like she just had 5 years away and then she walked back like nothing happened. I liked that. That being said, I was like, for fuck's sake, Valkyrie, just fucking do something. What are you doing back if you're going to fucking complain that you're back the entire time and then just dodge your entire family the entire time? It's like, these shit things happened. You took 5 years to think about it. 5 years clearly wasn't enough. Why did you come back? That was all I could think in my head was, wow, that was a wasted 5 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess my thought was, I understand needing a 5-year time jump, but I kind of wish she had done more than just been a recluse for 5 years, because, you know, we've all had our depressive tailspins. No one left me to do that for 5 years. No one left me alone for 5 years. I got 6 months in a flat by myself before my mum was like, I don't think you're okay. Now, my mum is always up in my business, so I don't think I could have got away with even more time than that. But considering how close Skullduggery and Valkyrie are, I just didn't believe it. I just didn't believe that they could go that long being separate. Now, I know for plot's sake, they needed to have had that space apart so that you have the stuff that he's dealt with, and then like he needs her because then he's a better person with her. But we knew that. That's not a new lesson either of them needs to learn. And I felt like the mental health rep was thorough. It was interesting. The moments that I thought were very, very clever was obviously when she literally is describing herself as feeling like a corpse. And it's not just in one way, it's in multiple ways. And it's those really intrusive thoughts was really clever and really well written. But again, the timing of it felt so convenient. And for me, it's the first time where I felt like Derek Landy has put something in a book for the sake of plot, as opposed to just accepting it. And like my suspension of disbelief has just kind of carried me the whole way through. And I don't think, like you said, I don't think it's a bad thing that it's in there. I don't think that we needed to see that she was being affected by stuff. Fine. I just don't believe that Tanis or Skullduggery or anyone else involved would let her go that long. Now, I did believe with China that when she finally like sees Valkyrie, they have like this really poignant conversation where she's just like, if you want to walk away, I'll understand. I will back you. I will get you a plane to get out of here. I will have cleavers guard you 24/7, because that's how China solves a problem, is by just solving the problem. But it's not actually solving the problem, but kind of putting a band-aid on it. That's not going to help Valkyrie. That's not going to get Valkyrie better. But it's what she's asked for. So that's what China will give her, because that's as far as China is emotionally able to extend herself, right? And you know, there's a bit with the whole throne room, and like Valkyrie's like, oh, she's like regal, I guess. Like it's obvious that China Sorrows is still morally questionable, definitely villain territory. Like she could be the villain for any other character in this book. The only thing is she likes Valkyrie. That's the only thing that kind of keeps her on the side that we agree with, right? So seeing her response to Valkyrie's situation was really, really interesting. And like the bit where she's talking to her mom, talking about her mom sending the texts to like update her and like how life is and stuff like that was really poignant, but also just really fucking convenient. And for me, this is why I'm going to have this kind of same thought the whole way through. I think everything we talk about, all the little things we discuss, it's going to come back down to that, because this is, with the last book that I didn't like, it was obviously the one where they had the time shift and going into alternate universes and alternate timelines and things like that. Now, that is a trope that I don't like. This was the first time where it wasn't a specific trope I didn't like. It was how far Landy needed me to suspend my disbelief. And I believed that Valkyrie was going through some shit. I did not believe no one else could see it.
I did kind of like, though, her acceptance that she was going to die and how she made peace with that. And I was like, that's an interesting way where she's saying she deserves all this sort of stuff. But then when Skullduggery is holding a gun to her head and she's like, oh, okay, cool, I'm on my knees. This is how I die. I've seen it. And it's like, you've made peace that your best friend is literally going to shoot you in the head? Cool. Which isn't necessarily a bad mental health rep, but it was an interesting one to see. You can see that's how far she's kind of gone in her own psyche, which I just found interesting.
See, I've got theories about all of this and how, because for me, I'm sitting here going, Derek Landy doesn't do things just for the sake of it. And it's like, is this going to be something where, because for me, not to sort of move on from the mental health rep a bit, but everyone felt slightly different. And I found myself not trusting anybody. So I'm just wondering if it's going to turn out that this is somehow not actually all real or something, or like, I don't know. I don't know if I went too far.
Okay.
Right. This is why I need Abby here, because I was spamming her inbox going, just tell me if I'm on the right track here.
I kind of agree, though, because when we first see Darkess again sitting on the step, I literally dropped the book and went, what the fuck? Because then it wasn't explained. Then it was just she wasn't there and no one was saying anything.
Yeah, she punched her in the face. She punched. So there's like, she's like, no, I know you're a real person, and then like punches her, and then it's never acknowledged again. And I was like, is she having a breakdown? Am I having a breakdown? Like, what?
That was super weird to me. And then that I can see where your brain goes, oh, maybe this isn't real. And I'm like, I could probably get behind that theory, and I'd probably like it more if it was that.
It also wasn't just that, though. It was Fletcher as well. The first thing that got my hackles up was Fletcher. Not that he's a teacher or anything, but the fact that he teleported her after she was attacked, not to the sanctuary, but to Syndicate's, or whatever her name is, her own private clinic. And China was like, why did he not just take you to the sanctuary? And I was like, wait a minute.
But that is because Skullduggery doesn't trust the sanctuary, and I think that was a kind of domino effect to Fletcher. But also, who in their right mind gave Fletcher a teaching job? Jesus Christ! I mean,
mate, they gave me a teaching job. It really isn't difficult to get a teaching job. It's difficult to keep a teaching job, but it's not difficult to get one.
This is Fletcher, who dates murderous reflections and makes terrible choices in women. I mean, that to everyone who knows Fletcher would go, you just shouldn't be teaching children.
It was desperate times calls for desperate measures. They need teleport.
He was the only one. He was the only one that could teach the new ones. It would be like, okay, I can speak this particular language. No one else can speak this particular language, but these other kids have rocked up, are able to speak. Well, then it has to be me then, doesn't it? It's that kind of thing. He's the last man. And my thing is, though, do you know what I like? Is I like that he seemed not more mature, because he's still like Fletcher, right? Like they still banter and stuff like that. But he just kind of is like, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense that they need me to do this. I'm doing my bit. Like, and he's just so chill. And I was like, I kind of love that, though, because it's been really nice. I don't know if it's just the books that I read or the fact that I got so angry with immature male characters as a teen that I almost exclusively read about female characters or men written by women, right? He's had such an emotional and mental growth since the first time we met him, and it made me such a proud mama bear, you know? Like, it was so cute to see him kind of be like responsible about stuff. And like that when he got stabbed, okay, I wasn't worried for him, okay, because I feel like I was talking to a couple of girls about this yesterday. Whilst Derek Landy is not one of those authors that does not follow through on threats to people's lives, etc., I was really reluctant to believe he was going to do it in the first book of the new series, right? He needs us to be comfy. And it's interesting to me that you say you don't trust any of the characters, because I didn't either. And I don't know if that's why I felt so uncomfy, if it was actually like an intentional uncomfiness or that...
Here's the thing. I didn't even trust Skullduggery. Because the thing is from your memory, Skullduggery never wears waistcoats, does he?
It's never been mentioned before, no.
And now suddenly he's wearing waistcoats. In all of the pictures of all of like that you see of him, he is never wearing a waistcoat. And suddenly, every time they mention what he's wearing, he's suddenly wearing waistcoats and things like this. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's a big change. And it's not like that's just a 5-year thing. He's a pretty consistent guy in what he looks like. And I'm suddenly like, I don't even trust you.
See, that's so bizarre because, like, I just wouldn't. That is one of those things where, like, I didn't think about it, I didn't notice it. Like, you mentioned about the waistcoats. No, I haven't seen it, but no, I didn't really notice it in this one either that it was mentioned. And, like, you're right, Derek Landy doesn't put stuff into books that doesn't need to be there. I guess for me, what I kind of saw as that is maybe it's a suit that is like an older suit, or it's parts of suits that Ghastly has made for him before. Maybe because like he gets like a proper like smack to the ribs, right? So it's obviously not defending him too much. So it's probably not from Ghastly. It's just not something I considered. I noticed that the hat is still relevant to him even when he's bad. I didn't trust him when he has his thing corrupted, when he has his soul corrupted, and he's like having all those banterific moments with Valkyrie and with Cadaverous. I was like, he's playing them. Like, he's absolutely playing them because we know what he's like. When his soul is corrupted by evil, he describes it to Valkyrie. He describes this deep anger and this need for, like, pain and for killing. He describes his time with Abyssinia where it's literally like, she was going to take that away from him. The threat that she posed to him was nothing to do with people he cared about. She was going to create peace. Yes, she was going to be a dictator in the same way that, you know, China is now. But she was going to create peace, which meant that they weren't going to be fighting anymore. He wouldn't have the opportunity to kill anymore. So what did he do? He betrayed her in the most mortifying way. On the day that she thought she had won, he classic Brutused her and stabbed her in front of everyone and threw her off a cliff. Which, I mean, like, we've got your point, Skullduggery. It's all right, chill. But that's how he responds when he's feeling murderous. So it's almost like he shoots Valkyrie in the leg, and I was kind of like, for me, it just felt like he was telling her to wake up. Like, you're not safe. You're never going to be safe. You were never safe. That safety that you keep looking for never really existed. You've always been part of this world. Because if we think about it, she didn't ask to join, right? The first thing that we see is her kind of exploring her uncle's house because it belongs to her now, and she wants to be close to her uncle and go through his things, and she gets attacked out of fucking nowhere. And I remember being terrified of that because it was so out of the blue. She never asked for any of this, and it's almost like him just being like, wake up, like, this isn't real. And they're having all these chats about like who she is and like who she used to be and how brave she was and all these sorts of things. And I was like, I felt like it was all kind of skullduggery being like, play the game, right? Because he needed her to believe that he was corrupted, whether he was or wasn't. I just didn't believe that he was fully. So when his soul broke through all of that kind of stuff, admittedly when it was at its most potent, like just after they said that they loved each other, like that was really cute. After that moment, that for me, I was just like, yeah, you could have done that at any time. You were playing them to find out, because like the two people that he allowed to die were murderers. Like, that's why what's his face, Melior, picked them in the first place, was because they had the right energy signature, but they were both fucking mass murderers. So you didn't have to feel guilty about it.
See, the thing that confused me was why he didn't tell Valkyrie why he left the sanctuary in the first place. I still don't understand it. I was like, what have you done? Like, I just didn't think it was. When he said it in the prison, I was like, really? You kept. Why? And then he's like, he mentions a name, and then. But it was so weird to me. I was like, there's that. Why did you keep that from her? And you're right. When his soul breaks through, it's like, why did you do this for so long? And like, why did you obey them at all? Like, it's in when you said that you didn't trust Skullduggery, I was like, I felt weird every time Skullduggery was there. But now you said it, I'm like, oh, hold on.
Yeah. The thing is, right, is that I'm so now desperate to Google it to see if I'm right, but I don't want to.
No, you're not allowed. That's illegal.
I know. It's like, I'm trying to message Abby as well, because obviously she knows because she's read all of it, and she's like, the only thing I'll tell you is that after this book, there are more books. And I'm like, screw you. Give me an answer. Just tell me if I'm on the right track or not. And it's just like, because also the thing is that Tanith isn't there this entire time, and you're telling me that she would have found out Valkyrie was home and she didn't go immediately to her, and she's not mentioned until like 200 pages in. I was like, there's something going on here. Because the only way Tanith wouldn't be there was if she was actually captured somewhere and couldn't get out, because she would have been there.
Yeah, it is all a bit hinky. But the other thing that made me think that Skullduggery was playing them was the fact that the reason they get Omen Darkly involved in the first place is because they need someone on the inside. And Temper was that person to begin with. And then, to me, it just seemed like such a convenient way for Skullduggery to go in, right? Is to fight it just enough not to actually kill Valkyrie. But it's also just the way that he was talking the entire time. Like, Skullduggery Pleasant does not stop talking when his soul is corrupted, right? Now, considering he's meant to be under the influence of Smoke, who everyone else you see has like those violent tendencies, but it's driven by their own thoughts, right? Because you see, for example, you've got Byron, who wants to kill his mum because his mum's not very nice to him, right? And like, she's fucking neglectful. Like, I'm not downplaying that, but more that he has this like murderous intent. And he's like, right, give me 5 minutes. I just want to kill her real quick. To the point that he kicks the shit out of Omen to like get to her. It's obviously driven by his genuine thoughts. Skullduggery has never wanted to kill Valkyrie. He's never wanted to kill Valkyrie, but I do think what he wants to do is shake her and just have her like, come on, like, we can do this. Because like, everything, he could have easily killed her 100 times. It's always described that he is one of the best fighters, right? And it took Lethe, who could literally mirror his own moves back to him, to beat him. She'd be dead. If he wanted her dead, she'd be dead. So I just didn't believe any of that.
But also with his soul corrupted as well, because that then makes him evil, wouldn't he have then immediately gone back to necromancy and started using that again? And he doesn't. No. He still uses his elemental magic and stuff like this. And obviously not everybody knows his Lord Vile, so it could be that Derek Landy's leading up to everybody finding out or something, and he wants to do it a different way. But it was also like, he would definitely start using necromancy again.
Yeah.
Because that's his dark power. And yeah, he doesn't have his armor, but he's still got that power innately in him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
This whole book had my hackles raised for something. Like, I kept on expecting there to be a twist and like, oh, it turns out that we're still in the final battle of Dying of the Light. And this is all that it's everybody, like all the psychics, still like controlling her mind or something. That's what I was expecting, something like that to happen.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Okay. Okay, next thing I want to discuss then, seeing as I just casually mentioned it before, how did we feel about Skullduggery and Valkyrie saying that they loved each other?
I really liked it. Not in a romantic way, because that's gross, but in that sort of friendship, I love you kind of way. Because I really like that. I don't know.
Again, Lizzie looks like she disagrees. Lizzie?
I think she's frozen.
Oh no. I was hoping for some of Lizzie's classic sarcasm, actually.
For me, it was a very, like, you're saying these words. Am I
oh,
here?
I can hear you.
Am I not here?
There we go, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Well.
I don't. Okay. Good.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
Yeah.
This is what happens when we start talking about positive things like love and romance, and immediately the internet's like, nah. Talk about depression, death, and murder all day long. Yeah. Welcome back, Lizzie. Oh no. This is going to be the whole thing now.
I think I need to turn on the PlayStation. Got my back. Can you hear me?
I can hear you in and out, yeah.
This is very awkward. I don't know what. What is happening? I don't know if people can hear me or not.
You can now, yeah.
You're completely out of sync though with the video for me.
Okay. For fuck's sake.
Right, no, you've caught
I had something to say as well. What happened?
We were talking about them saying that they loved each other.
Oh, I wanted them to not say that to each other. I wanted it to be them doing something that shows each other that they love each other rather than having to say it. Because we all know Skullduggery and Valkyrie love each other. Like, they've protected each other this entire time. So to me, it was a very
but it's a goodbye, isn't it? It's like, it's a classic just before I die, just to let you know kind of thing. But do you know what? Thing is, I remember us discussing this way back at book like 1 or 2, where it was obvious that they had a bond and it was obvious they were going to be really, really good friends. And I was like, I don't fucking understand how people can ship them. And then they said I loved each other, and I went, oh, that's such an easy leap. Like, I'm still like, about it, right? Like, I don't ship them, but I can see where people are making that little leap, because one, she's what, like 30 now, like
25.
so she's in her, like, her younger body. Obviously she hasn't like physically necessarily grown very much, but she has emotionally grown, and I can see how people are making that leap. I don't agree with it, but I can see.
No. I got flamethrowed when I dared suggest Valkyrie get it on with Dexter Vex, and you're telling me there are people who ship her in a fucking skeleton? No.
You've obviously not been on the fucking internet. Like,
no, I haven't. I dodge spoilers like I'm in the Matrix for everything.
I'm literally, so whilst you're talking about your thoughts, I'm going to literally just go on to actually I might screen share and do it that way.
Well, I'm a little upset with everyone's reactions about Dexter Vex, who is a very handsome looking man. But no, an actual skeleton, fine. Who's also old as sin.
Old as sin!
He's like 400! There's been bigger age gaps between canon character ships.
Right, so what was my issue with Valkyrie being a thirsty hoe and going for Dexter Vex, huh?
What was the thirsty hoe? She was like, so this, I'd like to point out that I haven't even Googled anything yet, and this rocked up, and I was like, I'm sorry, what have I been looking up that this is what's been recommended to me? So, okay.
The Wednesday Addams vibes.
Clearly.
Please don't be spoilers.
Okay, so that's obviously Tanith and Ghastly. Them fighting each other. Skullduggery. Okay, let's look up. Because I have seen it and I know it exists, and I just want to prove it.
There will definitely be a tag on AO3.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he is all bones, I guess.
I'm going to be really annoyed if I can't find any now, because that was one of like the first things. Because when I first like picked it, I was kind of like scrolling through being like, oh, I wonder what the fan art's like. And it was just like exclusively them making out. So I'm now kind of annoyed that I can't find any of it. This is deeply upsetting. Right, fine. But, oh, wait. Look. Tell me that's not romantic.
I mean, that line does happen in the book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
Look.
Why? He
No,
has so many
no.
lips. That must be really horrible. That must be so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, you have to really like kissing teethy people, don't you? So I really enjoy this.
This is
I ain't calling you a truther.
if you put in Valkyrie X Skullduggery, that's where you get all of the interesting when he's wearing a facade.
Yeah, but that's surely like kissing rubber.
Well, you'd think, wouldn't you? Don't like it.
No.
Like
Sorry, what is with that grin?
it. Oh.
World Savers and World Breakers. Adorable. There it is.
That's the one I was looking at.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Also, a little bit groomy, don't we think?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, right? So that's what I'm saying. As far as I'm concerned, like, I can see why people can make the leap, okay, especially in instances like this, especially in instances where he's like, you know, the difference between like him and Cadaverous is Cadaverous found a protege, found someone that he could mold in his own image, etc. Whereas with him, Valkyrie was always surprising him. Valkyrie was always his equal. You know, she was his partner. He hadn't had a partner in a really long time. Like, there's all those things where I'm like, yeah, make that leap. It's the easiest leap in the world to make. Or we could see it as for what it is. It's a platonic friendship where they love each other a lot and it is a mutual understanding. And I swear to God, if they make out in any of the books moving forwards, I'm cutting this read along short. It's ending. It ain't fucking happening anymore. I'm saying that right now. I'm saying it right now.
I do know spoilers, and Valkyrie does get another partner, romantic partner, and it's not Skullduggery.
Right, fine. Then this read along can continue.
Yes, it's fine.
But yeah, okay, cool. Right, speaking of new characters, let's talk about Omen Darkly, because does he not just have so much Fletcher about him? Like, he's so adorable, and he's just whoopsing into every situation.
Doesn't he just represent the fandom the first time he meets them, where he's like, I love you? I'm like,
yeah, he's like, I'm your biggest fan. Like, he's such a nerd. I love him.
Yeah. I
Omen-
love, like, the
Sorry,
geeky...
Caroline.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love the geeky, nerdy, slightly incompetent ones. And he is geeky, nerdy, and slightly incompetent. I was like,
for sure.
yeah, I love you. You are brilliant.
You are brilliant.
For me, Omen, Never, and Temper were the saving graces of this book.
Interesting.
I really liked Omen. I liked literally how shit he was, but also ridiculously good at it at the same time. He like fucked up every single time, but he still managed to get the job done. And I especially like the thing in Cold Heart Prison when he goes to rescue Temper and he's having the conversation with the convict.
Yeah, it's like, come closer, mate, don't do that. And it's like, but he's really convincing. Like, it's just like, it's so cute. And this is what I mean about him, like, whoopsing into everything. But thing is, I think what's really clever about it, if we talk like writing style wise, and then I'll come back to how amazing Omen is as a character, is the fact that he's not shit, right? He's just normal. Like, he doesn't have his brother's ability, he doesn't have his skills or anything like that, because he doesn't have that pressure on him. And what I thought was really interesting is he is described as the lucky one by Ogre, right? Or Olga, or however you say it. In the audiobook, it's Ogre, which I think is quite interesting. So I really like that, like, Ogre is like literally sat by his hospital bed and goes, the whole point is I'm the chosen one and you're the lucky one. you are safe. And it's like, it's almost like he can't do his job without knowing his brother is safe at home, and that he will take on this burden knowing his brother doesn't have to, and that his brother was lucky to be born second. And it's like, your parents literally couldn't give less of a shit about him, but you also know they wouldn't give a shit about you if you weren't the chosen one, because what they actually care about is the status symbol of being parents of the chosen one and how they look doing that. And I thought that was really interesting, because it's quite easy to pit brothers against each other, but the fact that they've both kind of got this mutual understanding, and even when like Omen's like, when did we agree this, what, like, when did that become an agreement, kind of thing. He's really shady with him, but he's not nasty, he's not malicious, it's not like a competition thing, it's just they've both mutually agreed that this is how this has to be for the time being, which I thought was really interesting. And then Never was an interesting character for me. I didn't like Never, but Never was an interesting character. I liked the rep, I thought that was great because it was so subtly done. And there's literally a conversation where Omen uses every single pronoun in one sentence in reference to them, which I thought was really great. I didn't like, for me, they kind of represented two sides of the internet, because you had Omen fangirling hard over Valkyrie. And then when Never told Valkyrie, you should kill yourself, I was like, dead to me. Because it's one thing saying it behind a screen, and I don't agree when people troll people and like say you should kill yourself, blah 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 blah, but to say that to someone's face when you don't know what the fuck they went through, like you're putting your pain on them, fair enough, but how dare you? Like, you don't fucking say that. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I was convinced Never was gonna be in on it, and that when Never disappeared with Omen and then came back for Valkyrie, I was genuinely surprised that Never came back, and I was convinced it was because Never was working with them. That wouldn't have surprised me at all.
I wouldn't be surprised if she does turn out evil in the end, and they do sort of maybe try to get their revenge on Valkyrie in the end, because they are now there. She's right in front of them, but maybe.
I like a villain, as you know, and I just think this is going to be what makes Never into a villain, is that Omen's being pulled in by Valkyrie, who's already got their, like, one of their family members killed. Although it wasn't Valkyrie, it was Darkest, but it kind of was Valkyrie. And, you know, so I just really liked them. I thought the rep was great. I liked how no nonsense they were about, like, literally everything, and how they were very upfront that they didn't want to help. They were like, no, there's nothing to do with.
They didn't want to help anyone but themselves, though. Like, Never is not a good friend. There's a point where they're, like, in detention with Omen, and then they get a better offer, so they leave. And it's like they leave after lecturing Omen on, I became friends with you because I thought you gave a shit about being here. And then basically said, then I met the real you, and I guess I just stuck it out. And it's like, you're not a good friend. Like, the whole monologue about how they expected them to be someone interesting, and how it's like, you know, you don't appreciate that I'm your only friend. And it's like, but you're not, though, because Philemon, bless him, like, his little chat with Omen at the end was like a testament that actually Omen's been getting in his own way. The reason people don't notice him is because he's so busy waiting for people to notice him beside his brother. That's never going to happen. And actually he needs to do his own thing to stand out and to make his own way. So I was like, Never's never encouraged him to do that. And I don't know. It's a bad friend. But I would be interested. I would call it a good character if they then turn into a villain and it is like their villain origin story. That would make complete sense to me. But I didn't like them. They are not a likable character.
I kind of like that they're like this unlikable character at the same time, because it's sort of like they were sort of like the devil on Omen's shoulder, while his brother could be like the angel on his shoulder, and it could sort of be that sort of push and pull between the two of them, which I think could be interesting.
But they were both telling Omen to stay at home and do nothing.
Good point. They're the devils on his shoulder. Skullduggery and Valkyrie are the angels.
Yeah, maybe. I liked that Skullduggery told Omen that he was proud of him. That made me feel all warm and fuzzy.
Like, that was so nice.
Mhm.
And it's just like, especially when you can like relate to Omen in some ways.
But they
It's
were-
like, oh, what is he?
I did think it was interesting
internet's
though,
going again.
when they were when Skullduggery was talking to him and talking about his training, and then for fuck's sake, why?
Now Hannah's gone.
Oh, bye, Hannah. Was it Hannah or was it me? What the fuck?
No, that was me. For some reason, StreamYard just dropped.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm here. I don't know if I'm here.
You are. Hello.
Okay, cool. Okay, good. Good. Hello.
I
thought
saw
it
you
was
coming and then I
interesting when they
ran
were
away.
talking about the
Right, whatever it is Danny's doing with the internet, Danny needs to stop doing with your internet, because I got every third syllable of that.
I didn't even get that. I got a robot voice.
Yeah.
You need to upgrade your Wi-Fi.
It's like the internet is so cruel, because every now and then it will cut away and then it will cut back and Lizzie will just look like she's about to cry. Yeah, Lizzie is frozen now.
Yeah, again.
Oh no. Okay, we'll just do that for now, and then when Lizzie comes back, we'll work it out. But yeah, so Omen Darkly, Ogre Darkly was also very cute. I liked him as well. Okay, I think. Are you back? No. Oh, there you are. Every now and then you move, and I'm like, maybe it's working. Maybe it's working.
No, still not working.
Bless. Right. So, what else did I want to talk about? So, how do we feel about the whole Lethe character and the idea that you can literally put this dark thing into a super suit and turn someone evil consistently?
That could turn interesting if they carry on using that technology.
Yes.
It's back.
Yeah,
Now when
I
you
feel
do
like it's going to be kind of like the God Killers, where it comes back multiple times, you know?
Because
Sorry,
you
Lizzie, what
put
were you gonna
someone
say?
like Valkyrie in that. Because I was thinking, what if someone tries to prove a point and tries to put her in it to bring out Darkess again and be like, look, she's evil.
Well, we know that we've got at least 2 characters that want to bring Darkess back, so...
Yep.
Lizzie, as you were.
I'm using my 4G because the internet is having trouble right now. Danny isn't even on the internet apparently, so I don't know what the fuck is going on. It's having a funny time.
Could be the
So I'm
storm.
on my 4G. But
could be
what I
the
was
what?
trying to say,
It could be the storm. Because there's a storm going around England at the moment.
it is deathly still outside and it's not even raining.
I would just try turning it off and on again.
Yeah,
I will do that, but that's downstairs.
Okay.
It's also downstairs though. But what I was trying to say was I find it interesting that Omen was basically Auger's punching bag. And he has that whole thing about talking with Skullduggery.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he was
That's what
trained.
I was trying to say.
His punching bag.
And I
And he
feel
used-
like my internet is struggling again.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I think you've
You're
just got a
still
lag.
moving. I mean, you're still moving and I can hear you. So
Yeah. I think it's the other way around. I think you can't hear us. We can hear you. That's quite funny.
this is going to be fun when you move in.
Mm.
You may have to like share a screen like a laptop.
You know what's really silly is, having been there, with the internet. I know the internet works great. There are at least 2 routers, so it should be really strong. And Lizzie's got one in her room, so there's absolutely no reason why the internet should be this bad. But Lizzie, we could see and hear you the entire time you were stressing out just then, by the way. Like, oh no! I didn't do that. That's Lizzie's hit her laptop and it's just gone, nah. Hopefully she'll jump back in a sec. So Lizzie has put in the private chat, by the way, that this is the worst. So Lizzie's not having a good time. But anyway, Becca, what were you going to say?
I don't know, I just got distracted. Someone's drilling next door, apparently, but again.
Rude.
Yeah, no, they're constantly drilling. But what was I saying? Yeah, that like Omen is literally just the punching bag, emotionally and physically, for his brother, and it's like everyone just views him as sort of like a lesser version of his brother. And like
they don't view him as a lesser version of his brother. They just view him as like nothing. Like if this running joke that he is just able to like sneak into the background, etc.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
Yeah, he's essentially the spare. Or have you ever watched The Umbrella Academy?
Yes.
Because he's like Vanya. In the sense that he is the forgotten one, the one that they all treat badly and all the rest of it. And I think it's going to turn out that he is actually possibly the chosen one instead.
The thing is, it will be interesting because I feel like we've seen in other books that sometimes being the chosen one isn't necessarily about your abilities or your skills, but just the pressure that everyone puts on you, right? And I think it would be really interesting if there were something like that. Imagine if he turns out to be the prince of all the Darklands, and it's actually it's the 2 brothers fighting against each other. And like there's all these kinds of possibilities. We're only in book 1, so it'll be interesting to kind of see where it goes from there. Lizzie, how are you feeling? You're muted, but how are you feeling?
I just hope I'm back.
I hope you're back too.
I don't understand.
It was really funny because like whilst you were literally having like this like freak out or whatever, we could see and hear all of it, and then all of a sudden you just disappeared. You were just like, done.
I don't know what's happening, and I'm sad.
Okay, well, let's not waste your internet by talking about anything other than Skullduggery Pleasant then, if we can help it. So obviously we saw a couple of sideline narratives, and when you were saying earlier about how Skullduggery, Derek Landy doesn't put anything in that isn't relevant. Now, Abby told us there were going to be Donald Trump references in this book. I didn't realize Donald Trump was straight up going to be a character in this.
Oh, yeah.
Funny. And I like the fact that Derek Landy has literally ripped real stories and put them straight into his book. Now, Flannery is obviously a common Irish surname. It's also, I was looking it up, it is also a move in bridge, and I don't know what the move signifies. But when you look up Flannery meaning on Etymon Online, which is basically a website that looks at the kind of history of languages, it has that Flannery is also part of the noun flaneur, and flaneur means habitual loafer and an idle man. And I was like, that's why he's called Flannery. Like, yeah. That's why he's called Flannery, because he is. And it's going to be really interesting to see how that narrative kind of develops. But it was just like, I was like, why is Donald Trump in this book? Like, it was so weird. Like, I get it. He's obviously evil, and I really hope he dies. And what killed me was when it was like, next time I'm in this room, I want to make sure that I can see a beautiful woman. And I was like, I can't wait for China Sorrows to fuck you up. Like, it's going to be so good.
Or Tanny.
Yeah, either. They're both beautiful. So is Valkyrie. All of them could fuck him up. But then obviously it cuts to China, which is why I had that thought. But I just thought I would share with you that it also comes from the Norse flanner, which means to wander aimlessly. I just really enjoyed it. I just really enjoyed that.
But it's like, what is he up to? And how is he going to tie into all of this? That is the question. Because obviously he's in America. And obviously we're mostly based in Ireland. So I don't know if it's going to tie into like Valkyrie's time in America or something. Because it could be something along those lines.
Well, I think that's where the anti-sanctuary is going to be based, isn't it? And like obviously they've got a witch working for them. When no, they are totally working for the witch. That can call that one from a mile away. So I think it's just where the anti-sanctuary is going to get their power, and they're going to have the power of the US government, and the US government is going to be trying to pull their weight until the anti-sanctuary are like, nah, fuck you guys, and kills them as well.
Yeah.
Could this be how magic is revealed to the whole world?
Nah, it won't happen. It won't happen. It will continue to not be revealed because every time they try and reveal it, things go horribly wrong. And like they will clean up the mess in the same way they cleaned it up last time. Like that, it won't happen. It won't be allowed. But also speaking of magic worlds and other worlds, obviously I made a reference to a certain series that should not be named earlier. But I made a specific note that was the tracking sigil on the arms of the villains is very reminiscent of a certain series with certain Deathbringers and certain dark marks. And I just thought that was really interesting. They literally had marks on their arms that could inform people where they were and call them there. And obviously it's like they know where I am because I have this mark on me. I thought that was really interesting and kind of spooky.
And also the fact you have the Chosen One and his two friends who keep on in the middle of the school year having to deal with various different villains that we don't even see. It's just like you just have Organ's doing something.
Yeah.
Over there.
Yeah. And they just disappear.
Yeah. I kind of want a series about his adventures in the school.
But I think that's the joke, isn't it? Is technically there is that series out already, right? Like it's a magic school. Teachers are, and this is the other thing, is it's like the idea with like the Deathbringers and stuff like that is that started off as a school thing. Like it's talked about in like some of the later books where Snape became part of a society that was started by one of the professors that didn't like human-born wizards. They just wanted sorcerers and sorcerer-born sorcerers, which is the whole theme of this book, is that okay, yeah, sure, you're a wizard, but where do you come from? It's that kind of like racial superiority, and it's just a bit ick, you know? But I think it's dealt with, because it's dealt with slower, and probably in hindsight, because obviously this came out in 2017, as opposed to the other series, which came out much earlier than that. And it's also set in a more modern era as well, as opposed to like pushed back to the 90s. I think all of those are relevant, but it's just interesting to me that there are so many echoes to, because I keep comparing this series to that, regardless of the fact the stories are so different, because of enjoyment, writing style, and reading age, right? So like all the things I liked about that other series, I've been able to enjoy in this series without the author being a fucking turf. So it's been great, right? And now I'm like, oh, they're leaning into that. Like they're leaning into that comparison. I thought it was really interesting.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Lizzie.
I enjoyed the kind of idea of having a tracking sigil because it made sense to me about how they knew where each other were, because evil people need to keep track of evil people. But I did find it funny that when they went to Byron's house, his name is Byron, and then Omen like asks for Peter, whatever his actual like, it really cracked me up. Because I'm like, how do you know this, Omen? You shouldn't know this. You're not really his friend. But it really cracked me up. They had a whole thing, and then Byron changes his accent and everything, and it's like, what? You're gonna go tell everyone on me now? And it gave me a really big a comparison to Draco in that series that I talk about, especially in Half-Blood Prince, where he's having his moment. And I felt like that whole interaction where they start fighting, and Omen the entire time is just telling Byron to not go and kill his mum, and like it's a real moment where it's like, oh okay, I could really see like comparisons between each character from Skullduggery and the series that will never be named again. I just think it's interesting, and I liked that he was like, well, they know where I am, so now they know where you are, kind of thing. And I thought that was really cool. Anyway, sorry, carry on, Becca.
I was just going to sort of divert a little bit and say we haven't actually mentioned the name of the school, which is Coraval Academy, because it's named after Coraval Juice. And I really like all the little references to previous characters throughout this, because you've got like Shudder Gate and things like this. But they never mention Ghastlies. And I'm like, where's Ghastly's? There will be one. I don't know where.
That's gonna be interesting.
I
How
feel
do
like
you feel about, like, because, like, this is the thing, so they've built this whole place, right, from the ground up, and the one thing they don't have is a bank, which I think's really bizarre that they wouldn't have a bank, because surely if they're all making their money and establishing their businesses, you would think having some kind of magical bank would be one of the first things. And the fact that that's something they're having to fight for, I thought was very, very bizarre. But I don't know if that's just to kind of show the fact that China is really thinking about the infrastructure of the place that she's building, because she doesn't want it to be a case of like, oh, as other leaders of this group have been, they're just kind of monitoring it and maintaining the status quo. She's like, nah, I'm gonna make it better. We need a school, we need this, we need hospitals, we need
a giant church to the faceless ones.
Yeah, well, like, religion is important, like, from like a ruling standpoint, right? And you can see it in like all of history. At no point was the church ever eradicated from Britain, right? Even when the church was opposed and things like that, there was another church brought in, because people need something to believe in, and royals and rulers need a reason to be in charge, right? So China's in charge because she was voted on, but fundamentally, the royal family have always been chosen by some bigger deity. So you have to allow for that deity to exist and continue to be like revered, basically. So it's interesting to me that she's kept the church. She knows it's a political tool because she's been part of it, right? She's been used as a tool before herself. So she understands that. And that is something that as a kid, you would never like sit there and think about that. It just feels like a really corrupt thing. As an adult, you're like, yeah, that's how corruption works. Is it takes something that should be wholesome and revered and makes it a mechanism to maintain power. And that's all she's done. Rather than put a prison slap bang in the middle of the city, she's put a church.
So she can also keep an eye on them.
I guess with the bank, though, going back to the bank thing, I guess it's because I don't know if it's a statement on like capitalism and how it works. And I don't know if that's the kind of point Derek Landy was trying to make, was that you can't just use magic to get like embedded in the world, which is why I kind of think the anti-sanctuary is using a political figure that is not magic, and embedding themselves in that way. Whereas, because they can't even get a bank, it's sort of how powerful are you really, China? And I think it's almost like there's all these barriers in the way that she can't get, but unlike the president, she doesn't go and just fire people willy-nilly. But I guess China would also just kill people if she could get away with it, because she's supposed to be one of the good guys. She has a sort of face that she puts up, and so she's expecting all these things from people, but like she's obviously getting annoyed because it's been like 5 years and they still haven't got the bank.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was a comment on that more than anything else. That was what I read into it anyway.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think it's interesting to me because, yeah, you're right. It's not that she doesn't have absolute power. She has a lot of power, but she doesn't have absolute power, because if she did have absolute power, there wouldn't be the capacity for her administrator to betray her. She wouldn't go to bed feeling tired, right? And she literally, like, there's that whole monologue that she has where she goes to bed exhausted, and then she's just kind of like, I don't know if I actually want to be in power anymore. I don't want anyone else to have this power, but I don't think I want this anymore. And it's that classic be careful what you wish for. But also she knew being in charge was going to be exhausting. Her brother told her it would be. Like, they already had this kind of discussion, so it is quite interesting. I'm not surprised some of that power has gone to her head and that she's made a full-on throne room. That did not surprise me at all. It didn't surprise me that people still respond to her in the way that they did beforehand. But I did like the fact that she is considering how Rawhaven is going to function outside of what she can control. Like, having the tram that goes past the school, past the church, and stops at the sanctuary as the last stop is really interesting. And it's such a weird little thing that it made me think of. But about 3-4 years ago, Top Gear did a documentary on one of the German factories that make Volkswagen. And this one particular factory is 3 miles wide. So when you get to work, you still have to get a bus to the building that you need because of how far this place goes. And like loads of it's underground. They've got like some really tall buildings, but it's a massive fucking place. And it was just, they were like, it's not easy to get lost because this bus literally just goes around in a big circle, like up one length and down the other. But you have to make sure you're facing the right way and that you know which building you're looking for and things like that. But it just, to me, really, it reminded me of that, or kind of like Milton Keynes, where it's a place that wasn't organically grown. It was just kind of designed all in one go. It just kind of reminded me of that. And I thought that was really interesting as well. But it's just so bizarre to have a leader that's actually thinking about infrastructure and not just, cool, now I'm in charge.
But she kind of had to, didn't she? She kind of had to. Because she took power when the city literally appeared out of nowhere. And then she took power, and so it had to fall to someone. Which is kind of why I like that tip staff just kind of fell under everyone's radar, because I didn't see it coming. I was like, when Valkyrie like recognized someone in the photo album, I was like, wait, who? And when it was tip staff, I was like, oh, okay, interesting. And China's whole, no, I don't care what information you have, I'm still gonna make you suffer, bitch. I was like, there's China, there she is.
There she is.
Because she'd sort of been sensible until that moment. It was like, all right, here we go. This is where the less moral China comes in.
Yeah, well, before that, she's got her politician's face on, and then you see the real her again, and it is refreshing. But you do see the real her, I think, when she's still talking to Valkyrie. Like she is a really interesting, multifaceted character, which is rare to see in a B-list character. Anyway, it's why I find her so fascinating in general, and she understands like the fact that Valkyrie wants to run away because she's run away herself, right? Like there was that whole book where she spent the entire thing running, and she was like hiding out her ranch and like all kinds of things. Like she gets it. She does get it. So I thought that was really interesting as well. There was something else I was gonna say. It had nothing to do with China Sorrows. Now I can't remember what it is.
I like that her name is China Sorrows because I think it says a million things about her that she never shows outwardly. I just really like it. I think even the name is super interesting because we know the sorcerers choose their names to protect them from people using their name against them. I just think it's super interesting that someone like China chose a first name of China. Like that. I just think it's an interesting thing to mention. I don't know.
No, I agree. I think it's always interesting. It's why I'm interested to find out why Never is called Never. And I don't know if it's just for the simple reason that she is there to oppose Skullduggery and Valkyrie, which is basically the always, you know, like till the very end kind of thing. It's the opposite of that is to not do it at all. So I'm just like, I don't know if maybe she's just there just to be a foil, but it'll be interesting to see as it goes on. I can't remember what the other thing was that I was going to say. Oh yeah, the Sebastian storyline, Beaky, Mr. Beaky Face. I loved that he was like, don't tell Skullduggery. And she's like, all right. And then literally 2 seconds ago, like later, she's just like, so is this weird guy in a mask?
She's learned how to keep things from him now.
I thought it was interesting that he swooped in to save her life. And I get that it was like, well, you're part of Darkest, right? That's what he was thinking. But also, I just found it super interesting that that's how he decided to show himself to Valkyrie. But also, what does he think he's going to get from Valkyrie? Like, when he jumps in and saves her life, like, clearly she is not what you are looking for. I liked Sebastian. I like that he goes to try and save the wife. And the wife is just eating. The wife is in a relationship with a hollow man. That was one of the best storylines because I just love how the wife was like, "No, get out, leave." Like, I love him, and
it was like, but he's made of paper. He doesn't exist, and she's like, so hurtful. You just don't understand.
Really,
I loved that.
Just like it also just explains just how bad that husband is if she's gone for someone who's made of paper and gas, who doesn't even talk.
He listens. Is that really all you needed from someone? Because you can get a journal or a new husband that's not made of paper. Like,
or
you
a
can
therapist.
or a therapist, yeah. I mean, to be fair, the therapist probably says still to leave your husband because he sounds like a douche. But do you know what I thought was really interesting? It foreshadows Leafy and Muriel, because it's when he's like, he's been in front of me the whole time, and it's like, oh, your partner left you for something that to you was completely unimaginable. Interesting.
I liked Meliel though.
Mm.
I thought he was super interesting, and like his whole drive was because his husband was no longer around, and it must have been such a betrayal.
Mm.
And I don't know if it was a bit. I can't say her name. The beating heart lady.
Abyssinia.
That's the one. Like corrupted him, but then he doesn't hear her voice, does he? Which one doesn't hear her voice? One of them doesn't hear her voice.
I don't know. I think it is Lethe. I can't remember. But I remember but they do say that Smoke has put all of his darkness into the suit. So it's the suit that keeps him doing the thing, because he's constantly under Smoke's influence. But it's Lethe that has the plans. So I imagine it's Lethe that can't hear the voice, because it would have been Abyssinia telling Smoke to corrupt him in the first place.
Right.
But then equally, Lethe might be able to hear him or hear her purely because the whole point is they're all connected by a particular magic source that she needs to regenerate. Although apparently it doesn't have to be magic. You can just bleed all over her and that's enough. So there's that. Bit vampiric.
I thought it was interesting that it's Skullduggery's ex-girlfriend. That cracked me up a little bit.
That killed me. And I think that was one of the things where, like, there are some spoilers that I accidentally stumbled across. So when her name was mentioned, I was like, oh, that's starting now, is it? We get to hear all about this. But I, of course, made the mistake of talking to Kieran about it, who gave me more spoilers. So I will keep until then, because I can't believe he ruined that for me. But, like, I loved it. And it's like, she was an ex-girlfriend. It was just like, dun dun dun. Like, I just really enjoyed that.
Should have had it with like the EastEnders duff at the end there.
Yeah, for sure.
Plot twist!
Yeah.
I love that we actually saw more from like what happened during that war as well, because we've sort of heard like the Cliff Notes version of it, but it's nice to see what he was doing as Lord Vile as well. It wasn't just, oh yeah, he was just also killing people. He also had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Why?
Why not? Why not have a girlfriend when you're trying to kill a whole bunch of people? You know? What? Just because you're working you can't date? I don't understand that.
Yeah. Evil attracts evil.
Exactly. It's about like she was kind of like she corrupted me. She was kind of into me, and I was like, Skullduggery, I would not have pegged you as someone who could be turned by the voice of a potential partner. Just saying. Like, I get that you were angry, but like, all right.
What cracks me up though is Valkyrie has a vision where she appears and has silver hair, and Skullduggery's like, nah, I don't know who that is. I would never know. And it's like, bro, you know exactly.
Yeah, it was so obvious that he did know. Like, we were all just like, okay.
But, like, the thing is as well is that he hasn't learned to just be like, oh yeah, so this is who this is. I've had past dealings. Hasn't quite learned that yet.
Past dealings. Sorry, I'm now just imagining Becca in that same situation where you're like on a date with someone, but then the waiter is like an ex-partner of yours, and they're like, do you know that person? And Becca's just like, I've had past dealings. You know what that is?
Yeah.
That would require a lot of miracles.
Yeah, that's cool. But
I mean,
yeah.
Like, I love that we got this sort of idea that, like, he had a life outside of just being this murderous asshole of a person kind of thing. But it's also like, I feel like there's going to be more. And obviously you've told me spoilers, so I kind of know that there is more coming from this. And I have a slight theory.
It kind of, to me, so I'm just watching my cat decide to scratch my wall for absolutely no reason. That really distracted me. It kind of reminds me of Spike and Drusilla. And just the fact that they're like killing people, making out, killing more people, like, and then Spike's just like, oh no, you're like batshit. Okay, I'm out. Like,
yeah, it's like I just want that moment where he's like, she left me for a chaos demon. Have you seen that thing? Like, it's slimy.
It's slimy. I like that in a later episode you see a cutaway. I can't remember if it's in Buffy or in Angel, where it's a cutaway to him catching them making out on a park bench, and he's just like, "How could you do this to me?" Like, it's so funny.
But at the same time, it's like, it's Drew. What did you expect?
Yeah, and she's just kind of like, it happens. Yeah, it's funny. Anyway, okay. Anything else we want to say about this book before we discuss the synopsis for the next one?
I was going to say, what do we think about Valkyrie's new psychic powers? And the fact that the psychics are now dead. And he just killed Cassandra Faros and also Finbar in a paragraph.
Well, Cassandra was old anyway. Just going to say that out loud. Finbar, I felt a little bit more sad about because Finbar, like, has become like a family man, right? And he protects them. So that made me feel very sad because Finbar went through a whole lot of shit. I was like, oh, he's living happily. Oh no, it's like he's dead. I also just thought Valkyrie having psychic powers was real convenient. I was like, oh, you've killed off the psychics and now you need a psychic. Oh! Valkyrie is now a psychic. She uses that power once though and then never again. Like, okay.
It's kind of just like, to me, her having her little corpse moments feels almost reminiscent of like her seeing her future, because like there's a bit where she's like, oh yeah, I've seen myself on my knees, but she keeps seeing herself as a corpse as well. So I'm like, I don't know if there's something else there. But the thing is, she's tapped into the source, right? So she has no control over her powers at all, really. So for me, the psychic ability, it is convenient, and I feel like it will change moving forwards. So that's interesting. But that is one of the things, like, when it comes down to why I still don't know what I'm going to score this out of 5, I don't know, because there's so much in it that just feels really convenient. I obviously did enjoy it, because I was sat here talking about it. There's loads of things that I do like. So I think giving it 3 stars is probably a bit harsh, but I don't think it deserves a 4 stars either. So
I gave it 3.
I gave it 4.
I think I might split it down the middle and say 3.5. But it will come out as a 3 on Goodreads.
But also, can we just mention the fact that she can also see auras now? And we've never seen someone with that power either. And it's like, what's...
No, that's interesting. But it's something that's like, where you've got the... I can't even have it... can't remember the word they used to describe the idea that these people have got abilities that they've taught themselves, kind of thing, and this particular type of ability. That's all new, and I like the fact that it's extending the universe, because that's what a sequel should do. So the fact that we're still learning stuff about abilities, and there are still new abilities that can be used in book 10, that is the sign to me that Derek Landy has paced himself and actually has gone, rather than putting all these different people in book 1, I'm going to do every book is going to have like a couple of new ones, and the fact you're still able to explore new stuff is quite cool.
Definitely. You can tell he's really meticulously planned all of this, which is why I'm still sitting there going, there's got to be a reason why my hackles were raised this entire book.
Do you know what I would pay good money for? I would pay good money if I had it to have Derek Landy run a Dungeons and Dragons session with me.
Oh yeah,
that would be good.
I would pay good money for that.
I'd chip in.
Right?
Or at least if he live streamed like a D&D session with like maybe several authors or something.
I'd watch that shit.
Like Neil Gaiman, Shauna Maguire, people like that. That'd be epic.
I'd watch that shit.
Oh yeah. I don't even watch D&D stuff. I've never even played D&D, but I would watch the hell out of that.
We have a game usually every week, but we almost had it twice this week, but then it didn't happen. It made me sad.
Very sorry. I just forgot about all the plans. I forgot about D&D, and I forgot about Piper's birthday. So I'm a terrible friend. Either way you look at it, all right?
I mean, the upside was we'd already had a session on Monday. So I think it would have been worse if everyone had forgotten on Friday and we hadn't had a session on Monday. But it's fine. Okay, so let's read.
I was just gonna say about this book real quick before you do the midnight one. The reason I gave this 3 stars was because after book 9, which I'm getting over a lot of stuff that happened in that book, and it was so well done and it was amazing and it went out with a bang. And then picking up Resurrection, it was just a huge disappointment after book 9.
I didn't care about anything until Skullduggery was like poisoned. I didn't care about any of it. It was all like interesting shit. I didn't care.
Apparently this is like generally seen as like the least favorite book around like the fandom, and then after this it sort of picks back up again. But I think
so.
He took like a break, I think, between the 2 series and wrote a couple of other things and then came back to it. So I think this one was
working its way back up. The thing is that you need to do that anyway, especially because it had, like you said, it was such a big finale. Wherever he started, you have to gain momentum with it again, and I see that. But I can see the difference was with the other ones, he wrote the first 3 as a trilogy, and it feels like a trilogy, and then the second 2 trilogies are kind of extensions from that. This one, we knew it was going to be a fresh start, and it feels like that. Like there's so much stuff that's just exposited that I'm like, I didn't need that. I don't care about that, but I'm sure it's going to be relevant later. Or at least I hope it's relevant later. But
I'm sure it will be. But I wanted her little American friend, the one who checked in with her and went into the back of a trunk for hours across the country. I wanted to check in with him because, you know, you went to all that to fucking save him and you kicked off this whole thing with Cadaverous now wanting to murder you.
Mm-hmm.
Where was he? And I just was waiting the whole time for her to go and confront like her fear with her family. And like I didn't care a lot about the exposition. I was like, I know that you need to build up momentum, but not really though, because we all know these characters. And it's like, yeah, okay, you're coming off the end of a series that you've now decided to pick up again. We don't need to go through this. Because this was a middle book syndrome. 100%. This is a middle book syndrome where nothing really happens, and it felt like a lot of it was just there to fill up a book. Which is a surprise because it's the first time this has happened with Derek Landy for me. Like, even the second book in the trilogies, I've enjoyed because there's been stuff happening and it's been building. This felt plodding and I was waiting for things to happen. So that's why I gave it 3 stars. Some clarification there.
That's fair. Okay, right. Let's discuss the front cover. I'm pretty sure that's Alice there.
Yeah.
Like snuggle. Why is her face so massive? We still don't know. And
that's Omen, right?
Yeah. But is that what is that in his hand? It's like a big old stick.
Please tell me they've given him the shock stick.
I don't think it looks like a wand.
It looks like a wand.
It does look like a wand.
Yeah. But imagine if it's a shock stick.
But also, why does Alice's face look like that? It's so scary. I don't understand why her face looks like that.
It looks like she's being squished, to be fair. Okay, so anyway, we have obviously the classic that's been re-updated. So Skullduggery Pleasant is dead, Valkyrie Kane is cool, Omen Darkly is neither. The 11th book in the best-selling Skullduggery Pleasant series. For years, Valkyrie Kane has struggled to keep her loved ones safe from harm. Plunging into battle, I only said plugging into battle then, plunging into battle time and time again by Skullduggery Pleasant's side and always emerging triumphant. But now the very thing that Valkyrie fights for is in danger as a ruthless killer snatches her little sister. With Skullduggery racing to catch up and the young sorcerer Omen scrambling along behind, Valkyrie only has 6 hours to find Alice before it's too late. So we've got a classic kidnapping. It's going to be interesting. What's really interesting is obviously usually there's some kind of like bad guy on the front, but the last 2 have not had bad guys. They've just had what I assume is Omen.
Technically, Skullduggery was a villain in this one, though. Technically.
Yeah,
so my theory is Alice hasn't been kidnapped. She's gone willingly, and she's plotting to kill her sister. And if it's anything else, I don't care.
And if it's anything else, I don't care.
She's 6.
Like, she got murdered by her sister. She's gonna have some resentment.
Well, she could be
I'm
messed
not
up.
saying anything.
Well, you know as well. Oh. Now I'm gonna have to try and
so
not.
excited. I'm so excited. Hannah, your face is
I don't even have time to read this book this week. Damn it! I've got to wait till next week.
Is
Well,
it
we're
on
not-
script?
I'm annoyed because Resurrection fucking wasn't. But I think Midnight still is. But I don't know if Resurrection wasn't just because I've listened to all of the Skullduggeries thus far with script alongside the book. So
Well, I don't own book 11, so I really fucking hope it's on script. Otherwise, I'm screwed. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to buy it from you, Hannah.
oh no, what a shame. To be fair, your horse books finally arrived today. So I can stick 11 into your box as well if you need.
Maybe. For a clarification, they're not my horse books. They're for my niece, who is
Lizzie's actually a horse girl. I don't know if you know this. Imagine.
no, there isn't. So I'm gonna have to buy 11 off you.
Okay.
But yeah, I do think Alice is evil, and I'll be very upset if she isn't.
That's fair.
She's going to be a little mini Artemis Fowl.
A little mini
Oh,
Artemis.
it is. I just had to type in Skullduggery Pleasant, but it is there. So maybe not.
That's fair. I know sometimes you like to read to make notes anyway, so if you need to borrow my copy to do that, let me know because there'll be time. And hopefully, when we get to book 12, we'll actually be in the same household.
Maybe. Let's hope. Fingers fucking crossed.
But yeah, the live show for this one obviously is not going to be until the new year, which is really exciting. So I can't believe we've only got like 4 books left.
I know. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself after this.
Right? Like, I've genuinely been sat here thinking, like, do I do another read along? Do we just pick up other books? Because I think we're going to have to. But I think we might need to do trilogies. I don't know if I can do another 14-book series.
Oh, so we're not doing Empire then? Or whatever it's called.
Maybe we'll do Foundation, yeah.
Yeah, Foundation, that's the one.
Empire's the name of the character.
I just can't get him out of my head. Oh,
Even if we don't, we need to buddy read that shit.
we do, because Lee Pace.
Right? I'll be so annoyed if we read it and the main character is not actually as sexy in the book. Devastated.
They won't be. They definitely won't
They
be.
won't be. No, they won't be. But on that note, is there anything you guys want to shout out before I end this live stream?
I've got new bookish Christmassy stuff up on my Etsy and also my Redbubble store, so check that out. The link is in my Twitter bio, so check that out if you are interested.
We love to see it. Lizzie?
Here we go again. Next Sunday. Bevies and Books at 7 or 7:30. I can never remember because I'm terrible at this. It's our December live show. Do I remember the prompt or do I remember the drink? Absolutely not, because I'm not prepared. 1 second.
I know the prompt is cold words. I didn't realise it was next Sunday. I thought we were doing it after Christmas.
No, we're doing it December the 19th, which is the day after my birthday.
I need to find a shorter book with a cold word in the title.
Yes.
Novel, you'll be fine.
Good shout.
It's a snowball is the drink, and it's next Sunday. As it stands, that might change. But come join us for a nice Christmas evening, although it probably won't be that Christmassy. It'll just be exactly the same. But
Well, I don't have any Christmas plans except for to hang out with my fam, so I'm quite excited for Christmas vibes. I might even bring a cracker.
oh, fun.
I'll pull it by myself, but like, you know, for festive feels.
Well, you might see Danny and I in a different setting and on the same screen.
Oh.
Yes. Family obligations.
Love that for you. Okay, well, I'm going to end the broadcast. Thank you very much for joining me, and thank you to those who came to watch. It was a good time. Bye!